Hey, what's up you guys? Today we're back again with the Z71 and we're going to be replacing the Optima battery that's in there right now. So this is going to come out. The battery isn't too old, but we got a excess power battery that we're going to throw in here. So first off, we're going to start by removing these posts and I guess just pulling the battery out. So it has this, I believe is a 13mm bolt right here, and these are 12s I believe for these battery posts that we threw on here. This was a temporary setup while we got the other batteries, so now that the other battery is here, we're gonna go ahead and remove this and see what's next. So let me go ahead and pull that bolt out and these two, and then we should be able to pull it out. All right, so we finally got the battery out. We had to remove this cable to give us enough room to pull this to the side and pull the battery out. So next we're gonna have to cut this. This is from when it had the original battery. These come from factory. So next we have to cut this plastic, at least this corner. Since the new battery is different, it doesn't have any place for this to actually sit. So we're gonna remove this and we're gonna remove this. So this whole thing has to be relocated. We're thinking of putting it on this side of the of this bar, just flat facing the engine. If not, we'll try to figure out where else we could put it. So this has to come off. This wire right here, and then this one also has to come off. Actually, we could leave that on for now. We're thinking of putting it right here. So basically cut all this off and just leave the little box and somehow attach it to this part or wherever we have room. I think first I'm gonna remove all the cables so that we can see what we're working with, and then we'll go ahead and start cutting. So we remove the box. Now we're gonna draw a line of where we need to cut, and we're gonna follow this line along the edge, and hopefully we're able to follow it right here as well. And then this is just gonna go straight across. Let me go ahead and cut that real quick. This is what we got. We cut this whole line off all the way around, and also right here there's like a little clip. Now let me show you guys the battery real quick. A little side-by-side comparison. This is the Optima positive post up here. Ground is on this side. It's a lot of corrosion. And then ground, positive, same thing. And we're gonna toss it in the truck now. So put you guys on once it's in the truck. All right, so we ran into our first little issue, which is fitment. So it slides forward. It still has a lot of room to slide back, so it's about 2 inches. And you can see where the yellow Optima battery was sliding forward right there. Next is to figure out a way or a place to mount the fuse box, which is this. And we were thinking of just finding a way to bolt it onto this metal piece or hold it onto the metal piece, because there's not much we could do with this. Maybe even put it here, bolt it up to, oh no, but the brace goes there. So we'll probably have to make a bracket or something and try to keep it in its original place so we won't have to redo all these wires. Let me see. Let me figure something out and then we'll put you guys back on. So this is what we have so far. 2 L-shaped brackets. This one has a little bend just to bring it down a bit, and 2 bolts, one on each side with the nut. And then the zip ties just to hold it in place, because there's no other place to put another bolt through. It's not the best, but it should hold. So this is just for now, just so we could get the truck running. Later on down the line, we'll redo it. Oh, and also we drilled 2 holes. So the top hole is gonna bolt up to where this zip tie goes, and then we're gonna use a new zip tie for the bottom hole to hold the wires in place. And we decided to put it here because we don't want to lengthen the existing cables. So this was one of our only options, as close as possible to the factory location. So let me get it all buttoned up, and then I'll show you guys right now what I'm talking about. So this is what we have so far. They don't look nice, but it will work for now. These don't have like a lot of room for them to, like, you know, stretch. So we wanted kind of to leave it in the same factory location. So we're just gonna straighten these out because they have an angle since they were on top of the battery. And then this one's good. So this one goes here, and then also this plug is gonna go right there. So it won't move much. I still gotta get these tight, and also this one right here, and this should hold it in place pretty good. We're just gonna take it off again with this bolt and that screw right there. Take it back out. We're gonna spray these brackets, and then we'll toss it back in. So let me go ahead and do that real quick. Now with a little bit of paint, these brackets don't look that bad. They're holding pretty good. Now that everything is tight, I put a little bit of red Loctite on these screws so they won't back off. And we have that screw right there. And then this we drilled another hole for this zip tie thing. And then these cables will be going back on here. We got one in, so you can see we got it straight, but I think when it has an angle, it sits in there perfect. Now we have to cut these little ears off just so it can go all the way in. So we're just using one of these to cut. We have to get it as flat as possible right here. So we have 2 more to go. This one went in there nicely, and the plug also. We're almost done. These are the ones that we got, the Ill Customs. So these are 6-post battery terminals, and we're gonna use these bolts that came with the excess battery. So it's a lock nut and a washer. That. And then these are labeled ground and power. You can see the negative right there, and then the positive right there. So I'll throw this on like that. Now that we have that in, we're going to take all these grounds off of this. To grab the 15, I think. We got the ground cables in, which you gotta like rearrange the way they come in from that sensor down there. Now we're gonna do the power cable, and this one directly from the alternator has to be cut a little shorter. And also this is the one from the fuse box right here to the power. This one has to be lengthened a little bit. This is the extra from the alternator cable. So we're gonna use this to the fuse box. It's still gonna be a little long, but we're gonna cut it to length. And then we have to add a lug to this side. And once those 2 are done, we will reconnect the transmission cooler fan with the new ring terminal to this, and we should be done. Let's go ahead and do this first. So with the copper lug, we're just gonna line it up right here. We're gonna cut right about the eye and twist. Just gonna go around it with the blade, try to keep it as straight as possible. Try not to cut the copper strands. Just get at the rubber insulation real quick, and you should be able to pull this off. Yes, that comes off. So we're gonna put the flat side on the lug towards the letters so it can line up nicely. So we could get every strand in there. There. Now let's get the crimp this lug on. Alright, so now that we have the lug crimped on, we're gonna put the heat shrink. We're gonna line it up with the letters as well. Then we're gonna use the heat gun. Now the positive side to the alternator is done. Now let me go ahead and do this, and it's the same thing. We're just gonna measure where we want to cut. We're gonna put a new lug and then put some heat shrink, and the positive side is done. Now we have all our connections done. This one goes straight to the fuse box, this one goes straight to the alternator, and then these three are for the grounds, and we have the positive for the transmission fan right here. We just did a new ring terminal, so now let's turn it on. Voltage is where it should be. Well, actually it's a little over 14. We're good. We have to make a little L bracket for this battery since it slides forward and back. All we're gonna do is find a piece of angle iron and drill 2 holes on that, and then bolt it to the back side of this battery tray. Sorry about the background noise, but this is all we did. We put a piece of angle aluminum, and it's only 7 inches, and we drill 2 holes, put the bolts from underneath going up just so it won't stick out too much because of the tire. And basically from here to this edge is 10 inches and a quarter. So let me throw the battery back in, and then everything should go back on and ready to go. So that's it for this video. We got everything back on. Whatever you do with these brackets, just make sure that you don't touch these little metal pieces to ground, because these do have power, and we just got to get the cover back on. So you guys can mount this wherever you want. Just keep in mind that you might have to make these cables longer depending on where you're going to mount it, and also that plug on this side down here, that might also have to be lengthened a bit. But so far I think we should be good with this setup. And next we will be installing the sound system. Not sure if we're going to record that, but that's it. And we only had to do that angle aluminum piece because the battery had a lot of slop in it, so now it just stays in there. Well, there is still some slop because this bracket, so we will be ordering a rubber mat that goes underneath the batteries. Once that comes in, we'll throw it in there, and that should space it off of the tray enough to put some tension on this bracket. But for now, that's it. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at yonke_oxcfilms. I'll leave that in the description down below, and we'll catch you in the next one.